Hello YouTube, MacMod back again. A little more cheery now because it's Christmas. Yes, more Gundam kits. Everything else coming. I don't know what I'm getting. Well, I know two things I'm getting, but that's about it. But anyways, we're moving on to my next review. And just a little update as well, just to keep you in the loop of things. I'm going to be a little bit quiet while I sort of reformat my channel and my blog page over the next few weeks. Because, well, quite frankly, reviews are going well, but I can't afford to keep buying things. I don't want to be getting old things all the time, so I'm thinking maybe, I don't know, I'm going to try and see what I can come up with, look at other pages, what other kind of videos they do, and see what happens from there. I'm thinking maybe something along the lines of probably top 5 lists, in-depth studies of things like, you know, Xeon grunts. Where did the likes of this Zaku come from, and what did that led to production of later units down the line, and the likes. Why did this only come out so often? Kind of like the stuff you'd see on other channels where people like to give their own insight into things and their own opinions on different storylines and where they've headed to. But anyways, enough of that. We'll move on from there to today's review, which, as you can see, is the Zaku F2 or Zaku Kai high grade unit. Now, I really like this unit, but more for its story than the actual kit. It is actually really nicely detailed, as you can see here. You might just hear the dog in the background there. Ignore her, she's always here. So, you've got nice sculpting all the way around, really nice details up in the chest, all these little thrusters that you could paint in, this really wide stance, almost broken looking thumb, but trust me, that's just the way it is, so it can fit around this big gun. I really like its stout kind of appearance, that compared to the ordinary Zaku, it's a little more chunky, cartoony looking, and considering it was an 80s OVA, which the designs for this were done by someone who had never worked on Gundam before. I believe it was the person who did the designs for Pot Labor. It sort of comes into that same kind of appearance. Now, you'll see here articulation is, well, it's actually better than some of the newer kits we're getting today, but it's still subpar. And one thing that always annoys me in the articulation of Zaku's, now it started with this kit and older ones. Why they went back to it with the Origins kits, I don't know, but it's these being hard plastic. Always annoys me in Zaku kits, and I'm going to try and find some way to replace them. But anyways, onto articulation. His head, I'll just frame him up here. His head goes about a little bit up, a little bit down, rotates all around, and there is no mono eye adjustment as there is on other Zaku kits. Where you put the sticker is where it is. You can see here his arms are on these nice double joints, so they can actually come just in here. I'll just move that shield out of the way. You can see that the arm has this nice wiggle joint so that you can actually bring it right the way out. The point pretty far over. Just about this much. A joint that they mastered later with just a single polycap. But, you know, this was early days of getting into newer articulation. So his shield is on a single ball joint here. Bit of a rock motion on that. Comes up nicely and actually clears the head pretty okay. That's about as far up as you needed to get it anyway. And then you've the all around single joint at the elbow that we clear the gun out of the way. Just comes up about 90 degrees, no more. Near the shield. There we are. Hand is on a really nice ball joint that comes up and down a bit. Points down, comes up. And then you can get him holding this nicely, as I said. You can see that that hand is actually designed just to fit around that gun there. Give him that real sort of oncoming approach look that he had in the series, and he also took that stance in Gundam Unicorn, but you only see him for all of 2 seconds in the backdrop in episode 4. His hand's coming apart here. So now I think he does come with a right hand for holding the heat hawk, but I cannot find it at the minute. It does come with the left hand for it, but we'll finish articulation and get on to that. So his chest has a really nice crunch here to it, but this is the only joint, because to master that sort of crouching effect he had, you can see just in here at the legs there's a slider bar. Just in there. Where these can now come forward. Just like that. Sort of like when he was scudding his way along in the OVA. This is little jetpack legs sliding along the glass to make his way to the forest zone. And as you saw here, the individual waist pieces can be separated, or they come in one piece if you wish to keep them that way. And then the grenade rack here comes up. These are all one solid piece. It's the same on the other side. There is a little bit of back skirt movement, and it takes those other two pieces with them, so that is nice, and that does allow then for these legs to come all the way up. And if you move that back skirt back, the legs can come a little bit far back, so there's quite a variation there. Ta-da! In the legs. And now we get to the joint I don't like because of these plastic pipings, and that is, there is a double joint here, but that's it. That's as far as you're getting. And I reckon, but I'm not going to try getting it out because it will take me forever to put it back in. Oh, there we go. I'm sure. Yeah, you'll get just a little bit more if you actually remove that. So I don't know if I'm going to keep them out for good, or I'm just going to change them for something else. I'll figure something out. Getting down to the feet. His feet rock quite far forward here on this nice double joint. So you can see here, there's heel separation at the back. And then bring his feet forward. And that's about as far forward as they go. So that is quite a good bit of movement in the feet. So for a kit that comes from the mid-2000s, he's actually really good. He's actually a lot of articulation about him, and I can see why he is a fan favourite. Now, I'm not too particularly fond of it myself, but only because I'm more used to the newer kits having better articulation to them. But quite frankly, you can't go wrong with it. And with how cheap they are, they're definitely good grunt builders. Now, his other accessories included is his optional head, which you don't really see much in the OVA. And if we just pop this one off, you get the entire head here. It's not just a new head piece, you get the entire new head, and it's got that more angry mono eye look to it. This is the one that he has in Gundam Unicorn. We'll just put the head I prefer back on because this is Bernie's unit, as I like to keep it. And we'll take this left hand off here to put on just a regular Heat-Hawk holding hand. And the Heat-Hawk is much bigger than the regular Zaku Heat-Hawk, about twice the size of it. And I think that's more just to shadow the OVA, where the Heat-Hawk was properly massive weapon. It did seem much bigger, and you can see it on the box itself now. I'm going to have a hard time getting it into the hand here, if I can get it. Ah, there we go. Hopefully. Look at that. And unlike most Heat-Hawks which just slide up and down, this one actually stays nicely. Nice and snug. Get it in there. And he can hold that two-handed as well. But you can see there, on other Heat-Hawks, your head might be coming to about here. The blade coming down over the hand. This one is actually quite large. And I like that about it. It's that uniqueness to the weapons on this that also makes it worthwhile. Now, size comparison, I'm just going to bring in, and the weapon fell off it again, but, well, this is my more favourite of the two, the Garazulu guards type. We're guards. If you get that, I love you. So, yep, you can definitely see where the influences of this design have passed on to this design, with some hints of the Garadoga in there. And the weapon that fell off was just his Beamhawk from the back. I'll just leave that off to the side. But comparing the two, you've got that nice helmet design in there, the pipes coming in along the side of the head from underneath. You've got the gold piping in here that you have on this. The cockpit is squared off rather than the off to the side cockpit you have on a regular Zaku. You've got these side panels which are more the same. Even the waist armor seems similar. I mean, basically, this is this upgraded, and that's really all I can have to say about it. And really, of the two, I can't say which one I prefer, because as great as this is, it still suffers with articulation problems years down the line. But this one, for its time, would have been much better then. I'm gonna have to say then that, taking him off to the side, considering the age of it and everything that it has now compared to modern kits, I'm going to give it 9 out of 10, and I'm going to really recommend it because as an older unit that can be customised easily, he is nicely detailed. You don't really need any stickers onto him. I've just thrown, apart from the mono eyes, just that wee Xeon logo onto him, that's about it. And I do have some detailed decals I'm going to put onto him when I get around to painting him and finishing trimming the plastic bits, but he was a quick throw together last Christmas. That's how long it's been that I've had this thing. But yeah, 9 out of 10, definitely worth it if you're thinking of getting one, and they're nice and cheap as well, so you can see why so many people army build with them, and they're constantly getting reprinted too. So definitely worthwhile. That's about all I've got to say on him, so see you in the next review, link to the blog below. Goodbye.